Hi, my name is Akshat and I work as a DevRel at Maxim. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can use Maxim's one-line integration for Google's GenAI package, so that if you are dependent on Google Gemini and GenAI package for your LLM calls, then you can share your logs and traces with Maxim, where you can run node level evaluations on those traces, and you can also properly visualize those logs and traces. So I'll be creating a very simple agent which has a tool for fetching the current weather for a place. So first of all, I'll be installing Google Generative AI and Maxim Pi and Tavily Python and python.env if you are coding this project in VS Code and you want to fetch your environment variables. Then I'm importing OS UID because if I'm using an external trace, then I need to give a unique ID to my trace. So that's why I'm importing this UID. .env GenAI from Google. And from Maxim, I'm going to import Maxim config and logger config. The importance of these classes you will understand in a bit. Then from maxim.logger.gemini, import Maxim Gemini client. Under the hood, we are using a GenAI package itself, but we need to share the logs and traces with Maxim. That's why we are wrapping it with Maxim wrapper. Then from Tavily, I'm importing Tavily client so that I get the power of web search and I can fetch the weather of a place. Then import JSON. Then I need to set my API keys. So for getting the Gemini API key, I hope you already know that you can go to Google's AI Studio and create a new Gemini API key. For getting the Maxim API key, you can go to Maxim, go to settings, and go to API keys. And over here, you can get all the API keys. For getting the Maxim repo ID, so I'll go to Maxim, I'll go to logs, create a repository, and let's call it as Google Gen AI Maxim logs. And I'll click on create. Let's use custom implementation. So continue. And over here you get a new repository ID. So just copy it and get back to your notebook secrets. If you are using VS Code, then you have to create a variable in environment variables file. Over here I'm using notebook secrets. So I'll go to Maxim repo ID and I'll replace this with the new repo ID that we just created and I'll hide it. The last thing that we need is Tavily API key, again, that you can get from the Tavily platform. Once you have got all your API keys, I'm setting these keys in my environment. Just to verify if I have all the API keys, I've just written this piece of code which checks if any of the API keys not set in the environment. Next thing, let's create an instance of Maxim. So I have Maxim, I'm providing the Maxim API key, and then create an instance of Maxim logger. So maxim.logger, provide the logger config, and inside that provide your repo ID. As soon as you run this, over here in the Maxim, as you can see, it is waiting for logger initialization. As soon as you do that, it will say logger is initialized. Perfect. We'll run it and we'll see how it happens. Then I'm creating an instance of Maxim Gemini client. It needs two things. One is API key for Gemini, and another thing is the instance of the logger, the Maxim logger. Next, and the final thing that we need to initialize is the Tavily client. So just provide Tavily API key and your client will be initialized. Now I'm writing a function which takes a location as a string. It can be New York, it can be Bangalore, it can be New Delhi, or it can be anything. And it fetches the current weather of the place using Tavily. So I just have the explanation in the form of docstrings. You can read it. And over here, as you can see, this is my search query. So I'm just framing a better prompt for this, prompt for fetching the weather. So current weather in this location, today temperature and conditions, right? Search response, and this is going to give you a proper structured response. We need to fetch the information that we need from this response. So that's why I'm just running a loop which goes to results from this Tavily response, goes to the content and fetches the temperature, weather and degrees, which are in the form of keywords, and appends all of that data that I've got, which contains the weather information in weather info. If I've got the weather info, that means weather information for this location is this. If I could not get it, then unable to find weather information. In case you run into any exception, handle those over here. So get weather with Tavily, provide the place name, and it will give you the weather. As you can see, I ran it before. So this is the location, name, region, country, and lat long, all the geographical information. And then finally, you also get the like atmospheric pressure, humidity, precipitation, chances, and everything, right? Let's run till here and let's see what we get if we are able to run it till here, and then we will build a conversational agent. So I started running, and as you can see, all of my API keys are configured. And then let's initialize Maxim. Maxim is already initialized. This is coming because I did not restart the session. So let me restart the session, because Maxim you can initialize only once. So this is a common error that I wanted to show you. That's why I did not hide it. So let's now try to rerun it. Now you can see initializing Maxim AI. Great. Now let's run this cell, Gemini client, Tavily client. Let's call this function and let's see if we get a proper response. Yes, we got it. And as you can see, we have got the weather information of New York. Awesome. Now let's go ahead. I'm creating a class, conversational agent, and it takes Gemini client logger weather function, which will act as a tool, and conversation history, so that I don't have to always tell that, hey, I'm trying to fetch the weather of this location. It will remember what I want to get and it will resume the conversation, right? So I have a chat function which takes a user message and whether I want to create an external trace or I want to use Maxim's Gemini client itself for sharing the logs and traces, right? So by default it is false. Then first of all, what I'm doing, I have a try catch block, and as soon as this class gets initialized, I'm going to, and this function is called, the chat function is called, I'll put the user message that I got from the user into this conversation history. Awesome. If I say I want to use external trace, then I create a new trace. I provide a unique ID. That's why I imported UUID. And by logger.trace, provide a trace config, provide a unique ID, and your trace is now initialized. Now, you try to fetch a response from your Gemini client. So use a model, provide the user message, provide the configuration. So in my configuration, I have the tool calls that I want to use. So I only have one tool call for fetching the weather. System instruction that, hey, you are a helpful weather assistant and you have to answer the user queries regarding weather. Provide a temperature and provide the trace ID. So as you can see, trace ID is the trace that we just created. So that trace.id. Awesome. Trace.end. If I want to use Maxim Gemini client itself for sharing logs, then you don't have to create a trace. Just create a response and automatically your logs will be shared with Maxim. AI response is response.text, and conversation history, append the AI message that you just generated. If you run into any exception, handle those. If you want to get the conversation history, this is a small function. If you want to clear the history, this is a simple function. Let's create an instance of conversation agent, provide the Gemini client, provide the logger, and provide the weather function. Okay. And as soon as you do that, your agent is initialized and you can talk to this agent. Let's run this cell. Let's run this cell. And now using class object, so agent.chat, I'm calling the function of that class. So agent.chat, what is the weather like in London today? If I hit enter, I should get the weather of London. So I ran what's the weather like in London today, and I've got the weather information for London. It looks like I need a bit more processing to give you a concise answer. Okay, but I've got a response from Gemini. So if I get back to Maxim, go to logs. So as you can see, I can see my total cost, total tokens consumed, latency 4.41 seconds, input and the final output. If I go to LLM call, so this was the tool or the function that was available to this model, and let's see if it made the tool call. So it should have. So as you can see, it did. Location London UK, and it called get weather with Tavily function. Okay, so as you can see, function. So now we can see that Gemini was able to make a tool call, and all of that trajectory that it took, we are able to visualize on Maxim or see on Maxim. Great. Let's move ahead. And now I created an interactive chat. So what it does is it has a while loop. So till I say quit, it will keep on giving me input box where I can enter my query, and it will continue the chat. So I just have this simple while loop. So if I run this cell and say interactive chat, so I'll say, hey, how are you? I'll hit enter. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How can I help you today? I want to get weather data of London, UK, and it should get the weather. Okay, now let's quit it. You can see the traces of the chat that I just did. Hey, how are you? And this is the input, output. In the LLM call, I can see the available functions, but I did not make any tool call over here. Then I want to get weather data of London. So as you can see, LLM call, these are the available tools with it. And it did make a tool call. So get weather with Tavily, and I got the response back. Great. So I hope you like this video, and now you know if you use Maxim's wrapped Gemini client or Maxim's provided Gemini client, you can easily share the logs and traces with Maxim platform without putting any extra effort. So if you want to get started with Maxim, the link is in the description. Till the next video, all the best for your AI journey.